Hi guys, it's me, Jim Farrell. Welcome back from 3D Skill. So for all Archviz artists, 3D pros, or scene extension freaks, I might have a new plugin for you called Skyblocks. Skyblocks is a semi-modular building generator for Cinema 4D, but let's not talk about it too much and let's see Skyblocks in action.
So here's a quick taste of what Skyblocks can do. Just pick a building preset or grab one from an expansion pack. By the way, if you're catching our early bird special right now, expansion packs are coming soon. Pick your base model, stack as many floors as you want, throw on a roof, tweak the floor and roof styles, and boom, you are ready to render. Turn on night view to light up your windows for stunning night shots. You can randomize the pattern and tweak the probability slider to dial in the exact look you want. Need to break up the pattern? Insert empty divider levels with custom heights to create vertical gaps. This lets you interrupt the procedural structure to stack your own custom geometry, build custom floors, or extend the building with completely bespoke modules. Lock your default materials to keep them safe from accidental deletion. This gives you full freedom to swap textures or tweak colors without breaking anything. Use the built-in visibility tag to effortlessly animate your building, constructing itself floor by floor. So working with huge scenes? Turn on playback optimization to temporarily swap your high poly buildings for simple bounding boxes during viewport playback. Say hello to maximum viewport FPS. Scale your entire building up or down instantly without messing up the modular procedural logic. Skyblocks plays nicely with native Cinema 4D cloners, scatter buildings across a landscape in just a few clicks. Feel free to bend, twist, or taper your structures using standard Cinema 4D deformers for crazy architectural shapes. Save massive amounts of RAM with our master-slave architecture. Duplicate any building to create a slave that shares the heavy assets under the hood. You can still stack floors and change module styles independently on the slave. And if you copy it into a new project scene, you can convert it back to a master in one click. The built-in asset manager handles all your external texture and distance files automatically, keeping your project organized and fully up to date. To wrap it up, Skyblocks comes bundled with Matte Retiler, a bonus plugin that lets you proportionally scale the tiling across all texture tags for a given material at once. Perfect when you want to drop in your own custom seamless textures.
So let's quickly talk about the installation, registration, and the node lock system. So Skyblocks has a two node lock system. That means you can lock two machines to it simultaneously. You have after you lock the first time both machines, you have a one-time ability to release the nodes so that you can lock another two machines. And then a release is only possible every 30 days. So this is a pretty fair model because it protects me as an independent developer from seed sharing. And yeah, you are still flexible enough to maybe, if you have a hardware change or something, to release the license. If there is a real emergency case, for instance, in between these 30 days or something, then please write an email to me and I will release it manually. But if there are too many requests frequently, so I will deny the manual release. Yeah, but good to know is that this limitation only applies to the Cinema 4D application. So when you're running Cinema 4D and create something, it doesn't apply to team render servers and clients. So you can use as many clients as you want with Skyblocks. Okay, so when you have downloaded Skyblocks for the first time, you will end up here with a zip file. And if you unpack the zip file, you will get 2 folders. Each folder corresponds to a specific Cinema4D version. Please copy with a folder which corresponds to your Cinema4D version. In my case here, this R2024 up to 2026. I copy this and then paste it into your preference folder of Cinema4D preferences folder. So the preference folder is available via here Control E or Command E, or here edit preferences. And here down below, here you can see the button open preferences folder. So it leads you directly to the current Cinema4D version in the preference folder. Here you have writing permissions. So paste it into this plugin folder. So if you're using multiple Cinema4D versions, for instance, 2024, 2024, 2025, and 2026, it could be a good idea to install the plugin into a custom plugin folder. Yeah, so every version of Cinema4D uses the same plugin folder. So because Skyblocks is writing its data into a Skyblocks folder, and if you have maybe an older version here installed in a specific Cinema4D version and you use that, it overrides the files inside. So it's very important that they share the same plugin version. Yeah, it also would be a waste of storage if you install the plugin in every of these folders, because it has 300 megabytes or something like that. Just a advice, but it's not mandatory. Yes, as you can see here in my plugins folder, because I'm the developer, I defined here a custom plugin folder. So all the versions 2024 up to 2026 using this plugin folder. Okay, so we quickly close Cinema4D and start Cinema4D again. Skyblocks is creating a folder. This folder is later important for you if you want to install expansion packs, for instance. So Cinema4D has started and Skyblocks prompts in a dialog to type in the Sera key. Please ensure that there is no white space before or after the Sera key. So paste your Sera key you have received from your Recept email. Say check license. You need to have an active internet connection, of course, and all the time you start Skyblocks and use Skyblocks, you need to be online. Sorry for that, but at the moment this is crucial. And yes, check the license. He says Skyblocks serial number okay. He checks the servers online and he says there are 3 slots. This means you can log a machine to it because it's both slots are free, they are not occupied. Do you want to register your machine to a free node? You say yes. So he says your machine was successfully added to a free node. So now the download manager is coming up. Here's a short description how to use it. As I said before, it creates here a version number. This version number at the moment is 0. That means he compares the assets version here on your computer with the online asset versions. Skyblocks is delivered without any textures. And with this asset manager, you download the textures and the distances files. The distances files are JSON files, which are important for Skyblocks, that he knows how high a specific element is and so forth to stack them. So it clicks check updates. If the version differs, he automatically begins to download. Don't delete anything manually. So this is not such a intelligent system. It only compares the versions. It doesn't know if you have deleted texture or something. If you don't care about the check updates, or if you have accidentally deleted something, simply press manual download and it instantly downloads all the assets. You will also download all the assets for the expansion packs. Yeah, this is not such an intelligent system, but yeah, this library is not growing too much because I use also the textures from other packages. So yeah, this keeps pretty low here in storage size. And here this button is for installing an expansion pack. Here you simply choose the zip file which you have downloaded, click it, and it installs it automatically into the this models folder here. So as you can see, the models are special module files. You need Skyblocks to use them. Okay. So everything is up to date, as you see. No download required, asset versions are equal. You can close the download manager. And we fire up Skyblocks for the first time now. And he says Skyblocks needs to write the texture path into your file path in the preferences in order to be able to load the textures. All textures in Skyblocks using a relative file paths. So they don't use absolute paths. So that's the reason why they have to be added to the preferences paths here. As you can see here, it added this text folder. This is the Skyblocks text folder here. Here, this folder, he adds this folder to, and here you have downloaded all the assets. So here, all the textures for Skyblocks. You can use also these textures for private projects or something like that. Also important to know here is the license text here. Yeah. Okay. So Skyblocks has started, and it starts with building number 1. It loads the ground floor. So let's go through these settings step by step. It's pretty self-explaining. Important was only the license system and the asset manager to use. Yeah. Here you can find a reference manual button, which opens directly the reference manual for Skyblocks. Here you can read everything yourself. Skyblocks, the Matt Tyler, and something about these Skyblocks expansions. Expansion Marketplace, you have a direct link to the Expansion Marketplace. Check from time to time if there are new expansion packs. I will try to release from time to time new expansion packs. So please be aware this is a lot of work for a single person. So please be patient and lenient, and yes, stay tuned. Okay, and here you can see the asset manager. Yeah, the direct link to the asset manager. Here you see an indicator for the master-slave system. At the moment when you start a new instance of the plugin, it has the master. And here's the Skyblocks banner. If you click that, the credits are opening here. And you see the 3D Skill website, the email for the support, and here also Instamat, because a lot of materials using the really powerful Instamat procedural material system, which is pretty great and which is pretty similar to Substance Designer and so forth. Here you can see the render engine. When you have installed version 2024 up to 2026, it automatically is set to Redshift. And down below you see the expansion pack menu. Here you see all the installed expansion packs. And here you can see the building which are included in a expansion pack. So let's say you want to install an expansion pack. Yeah, simply start Skyblocks here and start the asset manager, say install expansion. Then you have this downloaded zip file with expansion pack, unpack it, and simply choose the zip file of the modules here. And he automatically installs it into the Skyblocks folder models, and then simply execute a manual download here so that you're up to date with the assets. And that's it. And here it loads all the textures. And please do not rename anything here. Also do not rename the group here, the layers. Please avoid that. To this lighting feature I will come in a minute. So let's stack a few levels here. So I simply press here add levels. As you can see, it also download all the materials we can blend out here. I stack a few levels here, and here you can also delete a level. You can also go into this object manager and manually delete a level, or add new levels, for instance. Be aware, if you do this if you manually change here the hierarchy or a level, something like that, you simply have to press here arrange levels so that they are here, get the exact position in the 3D space. This 3D space is not important for the plugin to calculate the levels. It's just important later if you add additional 3D objects to a level so that they stay in the same position. So therefore is it. So, but you don't have to do this manually. You can also click here auto arrange. Then this level change is happening automatically. So let's say quickly you add here maybe a air condition or something like that here, exactly to level 3, for instance. I reset the transform. You can see now the air condition is exactly in level 3. So if I have auto range turned on, you can see the air condition is going with it. And if you, for instance, scale it, it also scales here. You can see this flickering is only in the viewport. It's not in the animation, and it's also scaled. Yeah, the same goes if you change here the document scaling here, scene here, and switch to meters. You can see also the air condition is also scaled with it. So pretty a nice feature here. As you can see, if you click a level, it's a simple null object to save here object plugins, because there is a limitation for Python plugins. You can only register 50 object plugins for Python. So this would be a waste of plugins. So I simply made the decision to use here null objects with user data. Here the user data, you can change the level type here. You can see something's changing here. This is from building to building different. So sometimes there is a big change, sometimes not. So here you can change the variations here of the building. The same goes for the basement. For the ground floor, you can also change here the ground floor's look here by choosing here a different type. So okay, so as you can see, if I click this auto range, and here's maybe my level 0, and I drag it manually here, so it automatically sets the correct location here. Yeah. Then I can add here a top, and also the same goes for the top. You can choose a different top type, and here's also night view. We'll come to this in a minute here. And yeah, and basically that's it. So you can't add another level to a top, but you can trick the plugin. You can simply manually drag here maybe another level, but this breaks here this static system here. So please aware of that. This is good for maybe rendering from the distance. So because a top has irregular surfaces, maybe antennas or something, so the plugin tries to calculate here a appropriate height or something like that. So you can trick the plugin. You can also manually drag more levels or something, or add another top to this. Yes, so this could be cool from a distance sometimes, and then you hear another top. And yes, so let's quickly delete this top here. And another feature is maybe can also bring in your custom geometry, for instance. There are the dividers here, yeah. You can add a divider here. So the divider is just a empty object. Here you can, so to say, determine the height of the object. Maybe you say here, okay, my geometry I want to insert here is 400 centimeters in height. And then you add another level. As you can see, he creates an empty space. So, but please aware that this is breaking the rules of the plugin, because the plugin doesn't know what you insert here as geometry. He simply continues with elements here. And now you can model custom stuff, or later if I maybe also sell divider packs for specific buildings. So this helps me as a developer to enhance the plugin. So with new level types, for instance. So you can import a divider. So here's a divider. Yeah, copy it, paste it. And what you have to do, you can see you want to bring it into the divider at the same position here. This is the 0 position for the dividers here. You simply drag it into the dividers, and then you can simply say here reset transform. So it takes the position for from the dividers. So maybe I change here quickly the color of the textures a little bit. So here you can break here the rules of the plugin and add another level. Yeah. You can also manually now drag the divider here, add another divider here so you can see, or you simply here one, for instance, and then you can simply also add another top. And so you can break a little bit the rules of the building, yeah, or you bring in futuristic stuff here and so forth. As I mentioned, in the future, I could release new levels specifically for certain building types using dividers to make the plugin infinitely expandable. So let's quickly delete dividers. And now I want to explain here the lighting settings here. Therefore, we have to fire up the Redshift render view here. So at the moment, we can't see anything here. So I turn on the global night view. As you can see, at the moment, every light is turned on because in the ground floor, here you can turn off the light view, the night view for the ground floor, or turn it on. The light seed is a seed value for the randomization algorithm. So 0 means all lights are turned on. So the same goes for each level and each top. There is also a switcher for the night view to turn it off, or a light seed value. So it would be very uncomfortable to go into each level and do this manually to get random lights. So there's a randomize button here. Simply click it and it tries to randomly turn the lights on and off. Sometimes this looks cool, but sometimes too much lights are turned on because it only has to make a decision between 1 and 0. Sometimes too much lights are on. Yeah. For instance, here is too much lights, and therefore is the probability value. If you turn on the probability, the more close the value is to 1, then more lights are turned on. Yeah. So if I turn it, switch it to 1, so as you can see, if the value is 1, all lights are turned on, and the closer the value to 0, then the less lights are turned on. So you can really shrink that down, and there are just a few lights now illuminated here, windows illuminated here. So this looks pretty cool at night, 4 o'clock or something. So yeah, that's why this probability value is 4. And if you make this editable, you can see the lights stay here. In this scene, you have totally access to the lights and to the objects and the geometry as well. So, but if you want to work in a procedural mode, because sometimes the plugin is much faster when it works procedurally instead of working with the polygon objects. This is pretty crazy. I don't know why this is so, but the plugin is faster in using it in its procedural mode. So you have this import lights. You can say import lights, then it imports the lights into the scene. You can turn off the light view now. This saves you also a little bit of performance here. And then you can go into, for instance, a turned on light, for instance, here, this one. So let's choose this one here. So you can directly change here the color now, color and temperature, and maybe make violet light here. So like this. Yes. So this is everything for the night view. Basically, you can turn it on, and then you can go into each level and also turn the night view off if you don't want it there. Change it individually here, these lights. Okay, so this log materials is also cool. So maybe if you want to change here something, maybe a material color, for instance, this one here, you can go into this one and simply choose another color here, for instance, and then if this log material is turned on, then you are not able to load a new building or switch to another building. Yeah, this is so that you don't accidentally load another building. So let me quickly explain the Matt Tiler. The Matt Tiler is a built-in command plugin which is shipped with Skyblocks. So let's say you want to exchange this tile texture here with your own. So Matt Tiler only works at the moment with polygon objects. So the Skyblocks building has to be made editable. So make it editable and then select the texture you want to change. So maybe I exchange here now the diffuse color for a moment. Here I load a different texture, maybe this one. And as you can see, now the tiling maybe doesn't fit to the object now. If the tiling doesn't fit, I would have to go into every object where this texture is assigned to and change the tiling here. So this could be very, very annoying if you have 10 or 20 buildings in your scene. So therefore is the matte tiler. You simply choose the texture. You want to change the tiling globally in your document. Start the matte tiler, and now you can change here the tiling. Change completely in every texture tag proportionately. So you can also select it and turn off sync, maybe like this. And now you can change here the tiling. And this playback optimization here is cool. So if it turned on, as you can see, if I have here a scale slider. So when I, for instance, animate this, and scale it, for instance. And if I playback this, you can see each time for each frame, it has to calculate the building. And this is really high impact to the performance and frame rate here. So therefore is the playback optimization. You can simply click that and he shows just a simple bounding box. So you get back your playback frame rate, and you can test animation or something like with other objects and so forth. Later, if you're rendering, turn this off. So it basically should automatically turn off if you're rendering. So as you can see, if the animation is running, start a render here, it automatically interrupts here and renders the building. The same goes for the picture renderer and so forth. So this helps you during playback. So let's delete this animation here. Also important to know is if you, for instance, switch to another project scaling here, you are now in centimeters. Where is it? Scene scale. So you are now in centimeters, and now you simply switch to meters. So the plugin automatically calculates the building to its correct size so that it keeps its original dimensions. So when you switch to meters, you can see the project is now in meters and the building has the correct size. So when you create a cube, this cube is very big, 20,000 centimeters. So if you want to have a cube 200 centimeters now, you can see, so the building has its correct size. So the cube is 2 meters and the building has its correct size. So it automatically fits to scale. Yes. So we switch back to the same goes for this value here. You can see automatic. And also here, if you switch back to centimeters, original size. Yes. Arrange levels I already explained. So let's have a look at this add visibility thing here. So here you can start a sequential animation. So showing, for instance, how the building is constructed step by step. So this is also a tag which later can be repurposed. So I simply click here add visibility. As you can see, a visibility tag is added. And when it's part of a Skyblocks plugin, it automatically creates everything. So you can turn it on. And first of all, we have to add objects. If it is part of a Skyblocks plugin and you press object, he only adds types of levels, dividers, and tops. So if I add here a divider, for instance, between, and I press the add objects, you can see it's also a divider. You can also manually rearrange that. If you press add objects, it always overwrites it. And then you have to click here on to activate it. As you can see, 0 means no building is visible at the moment. And if you click here visibility, you can sequentially blend the buildings in. So this is animatable. So this maybe is a cool feature here. You can also change the order, for instance. It's like this. So this looks a bit strange here. You can change the order. So this is also possible. You can just experiment a bit here. And this is also pre-proposable. Maybe you have here, let's simply copy this tag. Let's go to another scene here and create maybe a chain of cubes, for instance, just like that. and put the cubes into a null object. Maybe I take this one, put it into a null object, and then add this tag to it. Open Skyblocks, add a visibility tag in this case, drag it to this object, delete this. Here you have the visibility tag. Now this add objects works a little bit different. So when you click add objects, he just adds every object which is as a child of this group null object. And blending works here a little bit different. So he blends here the editor view and render view. So he starts with the main object here, with the parent object. Then he blends the parent object, and then he blends the cubes. Yeah. So you can see you can use it also for motion graphics or something. And yes, and then if you have added a few more objects and animated, you get results like this maybe. So it's a cool motion graphics thing here. But you can also change here the order or something like that is also possible. So this is just how you can pre-propose this tag. Yes. Now we come to the master and slave system. Skyblocks has a master and slave system. Let's say you want to exactly create the same building type here anywhere in your 3D space. And if you would create another instance, you can say it creates all the textures again. And this is really a waste of storage and so forth. And therefore is the Skyblocks master and slave system. If you want to create a slave, for instance, at the moment this is the master, simply copy the object. And if you copy the object, you can see it has in the name slave, and also here in this gizmo here, it says slave instead of master. The slave is in the master and slave group here now and shares the same textures, materials, and the same temp doc in the memory, but is still modifiable via in height and so forth. You can see you can load any building here and also delete the top. You can add more levels here. Yeah, you are totally independent here from the master, but you can't load a new building type. So let's say the Skyblocks master loads a new building here. So let's switch it to this building here. I load a building, all the textures. So you can see it loads a new building. And the slave is also loading this building. So the slave is, so to say, coupled to the master. And this is pretty cool. And yeah, this is the master and slave system. So the same goes for if you want to copy. This is very important. So this is the make master. If you say here, you have a slave and you say make master, it says here, this group already has a master. Yeah. So, but let's say we copy these both objects here. Want to copy it to a new scene. So important is, so if I do this quickly, so you can see no textures are copied. Yeah. So because Skyblocks uses textures, but the textures are not used in this document. So because they are virtual objects, so they have no link to the textures in this case. So SimOVD doesn't know it's an unused texture. You can see it doesn't have any objects where it is assigned to. So and yeah, to avoid this, we can say here mark materials. Please only use mark materials on the master. So click here mark materials, press load again, and now all the materials are added to the master, and now they are marked as used. So the same goes if I now say here delete unused materials, it doesn't delete the materials. Yes, because they are now part of the Skyblocks plugin. And now we can copy the master and the slave to a new scene, and also the materials. Press no. Yeah, the following textures are not in the current project folder. So press no. And all the textures are shipped with. And now we have two slaves, yeah, because we have copied the object. And every time you copy a master, it is turning into a slave. So therefore, simply take this object where the textures are on and say here, make master. And he converts the object to a master, right? It creates everything new. And now you can change again the building type, for instance, and the slave is changing too. Yeah, this is pretty everything to know about Skyblocks. Its strength lies in its expandability via expansion packs. So that's all from Skyblocks for now. Stay tuned and see you later.